Version 10 of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was recently released, and alongside it came Fighter Pack 8 Sephiroth. I've played with Sephiroth for a little bit and enjoyed what I've seen of him so far, so much so that I even made a montage out of it, which you should totally check out if you haven't already. Sephiroth was revealed at the Game Awards this year and sparked a lot of excitement, but he wasn't actually a reveal that many people were expecting. Many thought a character like Dante or Jonesy would show up, and many also thought that Crash Bandicoot was a very likely contender as well. Crash Bandicoot is my favourite game series of all time, so it goes without saying that Crash is my most wanted newcomer in Smash Ultimate, and characters like Snake, Sonic, Cloud, Joker, Banjo, Steve and Sephiroth show that any character is possible. Well, aside from Sora and Geno, who seem to have been wiped off the table at this point. As Crash in Smash is something that I and a lot of people want to see, I thought it would be fun to discuss the idea of Crash joining the Smash Bros. Roster, including the likelihood of it happening, a potential moveset and miscellaneous stuff like the stage, music and costumes. Before we get too far into the video though, there are a few things I want to mention. Firstly, it turns out only about 4% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel, so if you find yourself enjoying the video, make sure you click on that big red subscribe button and also click that like button while you're down there. All support is greatly appreciated. Also, let me know what you think about Crash joining Smash Bros in the comments section. The most important thing to mention though is that there is no possible way to confirm whether or not any character is coming to Smash Bros. So even though everything I say in this video will imply that there is a level of certainty with what will happen, there's no way of truly knowing. With all that said, let's crack on with the video. Let's start off by talking about Crash's chances of joining Smash Bros. Smash Ultimate is the closest game the industry has to a video game hall of fame, where the most iconic characters across all of video game history, and Min Min, come together in a celebration of video games. It goes without saying that usually a character needs to be a big deal in some way to make it into the game, and that especially goes for third-party characters. Some characters like Byleth and Incineroar can get away with joining Smash, since they're from well-known Nintendo franchises, but if a third-party character is to join the battle, they need to have a damn good reason. Thankfully, Crash has that. Crash has a legacy that not a lot of other characters can rival, and the characters that can rival it are already in the game. Crash is a very popular and successful Western character from the 90s, and one of the very few Western game series to find success in Japan. Because of this, he has a strong worldwide audience, and this audience is only growing with his three most recent games, the Insane Trilogy, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. Back in the 90s, Crash was a PlayStation exclusive, and was Sony's counterpart to Mario and Sonic in the console wars back then. Now though, Crash belongs to Activision, and is in no way owned by Sony. This makes him one of the few characters who can represent PlayStation without going through the nightmare that would be obtaining the rights to use a Sony-owned character. Other characters who could fill such a role, like Snake, Cloud and Sephiroth, are already in the game, so there's no reason Crash can't join them. Back on the topic of console wars though, Masahiro Sakurai has publicly said that he thinks console wars are ridiculous. Two of the three company mascots from the 90s console wars, Mario and Sonic, have appeared together in Smash Bros already, so adding Crash into the mix as well would almost be symbolic, as if it were a way of putting the console wars in the past and coming together. Which sounds incredibly cheesy, but would be a big deal in that way, and would almost encourage people to stop bickering about which console is the best, and just enjoy games. Speaking of moving on from the past, Crash is no longer confined to PlayStation hardware. He has been multi-platform since 2001, and as it turns out, there are more Crash games on Nintendo consoles than any other platform. Just an interesting fact I thought I'd mention. Crash is now securely under the ownership of Activision, and this is important in a number of ways. Many AAA game publishers such as Sega, Capcom, Square Enix, Bandai Namco and Ubisoft have some form of representation in Smash Ultimate, whether that be through fighters, spirits, Mii costumes or assist trophies. Activision is one of the few who, to my knowledge, doesn't yet have any. It's entirely possible that Activision will receive some representation in the game before the end of Fighters Pass 2, and there's no real reason why Nintendo would be against it. Activision and Nintendo have collaborated comfortably before in the past. The Crash and Spyro remakes were released on the Switch with rumours of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Crash 4 doing the same. What I think a lot of people forget is that Nintendo allowed Activision to add Donkey Kong and Bowser as playable characters in a Skylanders game. Not a lot of third-party publishers and developers are allowed to use some of Nintendo's most important characters like that. Also, on the day of filming this video, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was announced to be temporarily available as a free game trial on the Switch for Nintendo Online members. Just another example of Nintendo and Activision collaborating. One thing I often hear about in Smash speculation is what's been referred to as Activision's 5-year plan for Crash. This is supposedly an official Activision document that was leaked that outlines what Activision's plans are for the Crash series. I haven't seen the document myself, and I have no idea if it's reliable or even anywhere close to being real, but I figured it was worth mention. The plan supposedly goes like this: 2017 Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy on PlayStation 4, 2018 Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy on PC, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch, 2019 Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled on PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch, 2020 Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, 2021 Crash Bandicoot in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'd imagine a PC and Switch version of Crash 4 would also be released in 2021, but the main thing is Crash and Smash here. Now I have no idea if this document is legitimate, and I highly doubt that an official document would just randomly be leaked like that, but if it is real, Crash has a really strong chance here. Finally, there's the fandom art. Crash often appears in those fake leaks, but he is one of, if not the most highly speculated, requested and discussed characters for Smash Ultimate, and there is legitimate evidence to support that claim. A while back, Source Gaming did a massive fan ballot to figure out who the most supported or requested characters were for Smash Ultimate, and the ballot received over 4,000 votes. Crash won the ballot. He received the most votes and was the only candidate to receive over 1,000 votes, even beating the likes of Sora, Dante and Doomguy. So it's pretty clear that Crash has a lot of support behind him. Now we don't know what the selection process for new fighters is, but many assume that popularity, legacy, fan demand and moveset potential are what determines who makes the cut and who doesn't. Nintendo was the one who made the list of characters that Sakurai had to choose from, so who they want in the game is entirely up to them, and the criteria that the fans come up with is nothing more than speculation. But even so, in every one of those areas, Crash has nothing against him, so I'd say overall, the chances of Crash joining Smash Bros are very high. You can't be a fighter in Smash Bros without a moveset, so now is a good time for me to go over how I imagine Crash playing out in Smash Ultimate. Many people unfamiliar with Crash will often say that he shouldn't be in the game because all he does is spin, which is a lot of rubbish. By that same logic, all Mario does is jump, right? So he shouldn't be in either. Anyone who has actually seen a Crash game before will know that he has plenty of moveset potential, and I'm going to go over how I think Crash should play as a general concept. You don't need to be a genius to figure out that Crash would be an up-close brawler style character, possibly as a combo focused character or a rushdown character. Either way, the main idea is that he excels when he's up close to his opponent and struggles when he's far away. As for his movement, his run speed would be around the same as Mario's, and he would have 2 jumps. Let's start with the special moves. The neutral special would be Crash's most iconic move, the spin. This would be a very fast move with a lot of knockback to reflect how it works in the Crash games. The trade-off for its incredible speed and knockback is that it would hardly do any damage at all, and to make the high knockback fair, it would be relatively fixed so that opponents aren't launched a ridiculous distance and die at 20%. The move would work well as a great out-of-shield option and combo finisher. I also considered incorporating the Death Tornado spin by repeatedly tapping the B button, which would allow Crash to spin continuously for a certain amount of time to allow him to slow his descent and glide, helping with horizontal recovery. The side special would be the Fruit Bazooka from Crash 3 and Wrath of Cortex. I imagine it would function similar to Wolf's laser, but the difference is that Crash can aim the bazooka up or down, so it's effectively a projectile you can fire in almost any direction. I've seen many people suggest the Jetpack from Crash 2 as the up special, but I think the wooden arrow crate would make for a better option since that's more recognisably Crash. It would work similarly to Sonic Spring, but instead of falling like Sonic Spring does, the wooden crate would remain fixed in place until it is broken or despawns. Basically, it's a mix of Sonic Spring and Steve's block placement. Also, any fighter can bounce on top of the arrow crate for a massive jump, but if a fighter jumps into the arrow crate from below, it'll break. As for the down special, it would be some form of spawning crates, as they're easily one of the most iconic elements of Crash. Whether Crash places crates down in front of him, throws them, or they spawn under him, I don't know, but the main idea is that he spawns crates in some way. This is how I imagine such a move playing out. There would be 4 types of crates that Crash can spawn, each with different effects, and they always spawn in a fixed cycle, which goes as follows: Question Mark Crate, TNT Crate, Aku Aku Crate, and Nitro Crate. Crates can be spawned on the ground or in the air, and any crates spawned in the air will not fall down, they will instead remain in place. As for the effects, Question Mark Crates are broken by Crash after they spawn, and they provide anywhere between 5 and 20 Wumpa Fruit. Each Wumpa Fruit heals Crash for about 0.5%. The amount of Wumpa Fruit in a Question Mark Crate would be random. TNT Crates begin their 3-second countdown almost immediately after spawning, and they'll explode when the countdown reaches 0 or when attacked. Fighters caught in the explosion suffer around 35% damage and huge knockback. The explosion is also quite wide. Think the size of Hero's Kaboom. Aku Aku Crates provide Crash with Aku Aku, which is Crash's special gimmick. I'll explain that shortly. Nitro Crates function mostly the same as TNT Crates, but with some differences. The size of a Nitro Crate's explosion is the same as a TNT Crate, but it does slightly more damage and knockback. The conditions of the explosion are different. Nitro Crates only explode when attacked or when a fighter makes contact with it. As they have no countdown, a Nitro Crate will remain put indefinitely until it explodes. It's important to note that Crash can also be damaged and KO'd by TNT and Nitro Crates. As I said, Crash's special gimmick would be Aku Aku. In Crash games, Aku Aku serves as a shield that protects Crash from damage, and there are 3 stages. Aku Aku provides protection from 1 hit then disappears. If another Aku Aku is collected while Crash already has one, it stacks, and Aku Aku becomes Golden Aku Aku, which provides protection from 1 hit then reverts back to normal Aku Aku. If Crash has a Golden Aku Aku and collects a 3rd Aku Aku, Crash then becomes invincible to all damage for about 20 seconds. I think this idea can be translated into Smash pretty well through the down special. When Aku Aku is collected through the down special, Crash will be immune to all knockback and will not flinch until Aku Aku is lost. Aku Aku would have about 10% damage worth of hit points and will disappear once Crash accumulates 10% of damage or more while Aku Aku is present. Think similarly to Luma's hit point system. As Aku Aku stacks to Golden Aku Aku, he will gain an additional 10%, meaning Crash will need to take 10% damage for Golden Aku Aku to revert to normal Aku Aku, and a further 10% for Aku Aku to disappear. A 3rd Aku Aku would result in Crash receiving 20 seconds worth of invincibility, where he does not take any damage or knockback at all. After invincibility is over, Crash will revert back to Golden Aku Aku. Now I know this sounds broken, but considering how little damage it takes for Aku Aku to disappear, on top of the fact that Crash needs to cycle through crates using down special a minimum of 9 times without taking that small amount of damage, means that obtaining that invincibility would be an incredibly rare occurrence, so I think it balances out. Anyway, the more basic moves. Crash's dash attack should be the slide, but it would be unique amongst dash attacks in that it would have a special property. If Crash jumps out of the dash attack, he will do an extra high jump, just like the slide jump in the Crash games. If Crash attacks out of the dash attack, he'll perform a slide spin, again like in the Crash games, so it would end up being a very versatile dash attack. Then there's the standard attacks like aerials, smash attacks, tilts, and jabs. I think Crash's body slam could work as either a down air or down smash, or maybe even both. As for everything else, a lot of inspiration can be taken from Crash of the Titans and Mind of a Mutant. For example, the Norris Roundhouse, which is a right hook, a left hook, and 2 kicks, could work very well as a jab. The Gyro Jackhammer could work well as an up smash. There's a lot of material to work with there. Lastly, the Final Smash, which would most likely be a cinematic Final Smash. There are 2 things this could be. The first is just an Aku Aku Invincibility cinematic Final Smash, and is probably the most likely option. The second I could see happening is Crash firing Embria's laser into the Cortex Vortex like in the true ending of Crash 2. Less likely, but also possible. Those are just a few ideas of how I think Crash could work as a fighter in Smash Ultimate, but obviously I'd leave the actual designing of the character to the developers. Honestly, as long as they capture the character well and stick to the source material, it'd turn out great. Now for the miscellaneous stuff. The stage is quite easy to predict. It'll most likely be the most iconic location in Crash, Insanity Beach. I have a feeling it would be a runoff stage which kinda sucks, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. I would actually prefer to see the Time Twister as the stage, which would allow Smash to explore a range of different locations in the Crash series, including Insanity Beach. As for music, obviously there'd be a remix of the main Crash theme. Whether that's just the theme of the first game, or if it turns out to be an original trilogy medley, I don't know. But I can guarantee you that the iconic Crash theme would be remixed in some way. Cortex's theme would also be remixed, I imagine, since it's a very iconic theme. Other tracks from the original trilogy like Turtle Woods, Snowgo, Tiny's theme and Engine's theme would probably make it in as well, possibly alongside some tracks from Crash 4 and Crash Team Racing. The thing about the music is I have no idea how generous Activision would be with lending music. I also don't know if they would get Josh Mansell on board like what they did with Grant Kirkhope for Banjo, but I'd be over the moon about it if they did. Then we gotta take skins and costumes into consideration. Obviously Coco would be included as an alternate costume. It just makes sense, they have the same moveset in the games and play the exact same way, so to have Coco as an alternate costume or perhaps even an Echo Fighter in the same fighter pack just makes sense. Other costumes could either be recolors to reference other characters like Cortex, Engine or Tiny, or they could just be costumes that Crash and Coco already have in the Crash games. Biker outfits, scuba gear, aviator outfits, fake Crash, fake Coco, retro skins, there's a lot of material to work with. As for things like Mii costumes and spirits, I don't really have any particular ideas. Cortex makes sense for a Mii Gunner outfit and maybe they could include Spyro as a Mii outfit too, but other than that I've got nothing, and all of that should probably be left to the developers. So this has been a mammoth of a video, but I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. Crash is the only situation, and I feel like many people will agree with this, where the character doesn't feel possible, they feel missing from the game. Smash Ultimate would feel incomplete without Crash, but even though I and a lot of other people are saying that Crash joining the Smash roster is likely, that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll happen. It's very possible that we won't be seeing Crash in Smash at all, so make sure to keep your wildest expectations in check. But I still have a good feeling that sooner or later, our favourite orange marsupial will join the party. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I encourage you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You won't regret it. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.